It is so good it is so good to have you with us today.
Call to worship comes from the way of transition, I believe. Life runs a perfect curriculum, and fruition is mine. If you miss the offering this year, you can catch the next year. Again and again, it offers us a correspondence course in letting go. Introductory letting go, intermediate letting go, and advanced letting go. Life does not, not because what we are identifying is bad, but because we are ready for something else, something further, something deeper. The alternation of letting go of an old world and beginning a new one is the
Please join me in reading our charter sliding, the words of which can be found or will be found soon on the screen. Here today, in this place, with these people, may we listen to, you can hear. May we hear so that we can feel. May we feel so that we can know. May we know so that we can ourselves. Like our way.
Our weekend is 10:20. We'll have not pick up favorites, and if you don't know it, it's not fun. So please stand. 10:20 in the blue, in the blue hymnal. So just to give you a little bit of guidance about how it goes. So first and the second page, at the bottom of the second page, a high part comes in. So if you want to join in on that one, feel free. Or if you want to stay on the regular melody, that's fine. It goes through, then down at the bottom of page 3, page 3, there it goes over to page 4, and then there's a repeat so that there's a second verse there. And then we're just going to go straight on through. We're just ignore all the other repeats. Just ignore all the other repeats. But it's a lot of fun. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know. there. Good job.
We got there even if we don't know how we did. I would like to now invite any of the young people young at heart, those who like a good story, to come forward and sit near or on the red carpet. Yeah, come on up. Come on up. Woohoo. Yeah, right there. That's great. Yeah, hi. Hey, everyone. So I would like to ask Bee if she would like to help us with the Wonder Box. Yeah, would you like to, Beatrice? Maybe maybe the two of you. Yeah, that's good. Okay, here's the Wonder Box. See what's inside. Oh, it's a rope. Good thing it's not a snake with the.
It's a very big rope.
It's a big rope. All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you for helping. Yay, help you. The story that we are about to hear is a modern fable by Dr. Edwin Friedman, an ordained rabbi and psychological therapist. In this story, there are two characters, but only one person. The character called Stranger is just a voice in the person's head as they wrestle with a big decision. No one will actually die, okay? There once was a person who had given much thought to what she wanted from life. Eventually, she began to see clearly where she wanted to go. She searched for the right opportunity, and then at last it came. But the opportunity would not wait. It would be made available only for a short time. If it were seen that she was not committed, the opportunity would not come again. Eager to arrive, she started on her journey. With each step, she moved faster. With each thought about her goal, her heartbeat quickened. Hurrying along, she came upon a bridge that crossed through the middle of the town. It had been built high above the river to protect it from the floods of spring. She started across. Then she noticed someone coming from the opposite direction. As they moved closer, it seemed as though the other were coming to greet her. She could see clearly, however, that she did not know this stranger, who was dressed like her, except for something tied around her waist, their waist. When they got close, she could see that what the stranger had about their waist was a rope. The stranger began to uncurl the rope, and just as they met, the stranger said,
Pardon me, would you hold this in for a moment?
Surprised by this curious request, she agreed without a thought, reached out, and took it.
Thank you. 2 hands now. And remember, hold tight.
Whereupon this stranger jumped off the bridge. Quickly, the free-falling body hurtled the distance of the rope's length, and from the bridge, the person abruptly felt the pull. Instinctively, she held tight and was almost dragged over the side. She managed to brace herself at the edge. She looked down at the stranger dangling.
What are you trying to do?
Just hold tight.
Okay, now this is ridiculous. Why did you do this?
Remember, if you let go, I will be lost.
Yeah, but I can't pull you up.
I'm your responsibility.
I did not ask for it.
If you let go, I'm lost.
She began to look around for help, but there was no one. She thought, why did this have to happen to me now, just as I was on the verge of true success? She looked around, searching for a place to tie the rope, but the railing of the bridge had no spaces between the boards.
What do you want?
Just your help.
how can I help? I cannot pull you in and there is no place to tie the rope. So I can't go and find someone else to help you.
I know that. Just hang on. That'll be enough. Tie the rope around your waist. It'll be easier.
Okay.
Fearing that her arms could not hold out much longer, she tied the rope around her waist.
Okay. Okay, why did you do this? What possible purpose could you have had in mind?
Just remember, my life is in your hands.
What should she do? She thought to herself, oh, what should she do? She thought to herself that if she let go, all her life she would know that she had let the other die. But if she stayed, she would miss the opportunity of a lifetime. Either way, this would haunt her forever. As time went by, no one came. The critical moment of decision was drawing near. She had to continue her journey. It was already almost too late to arrive on time. Then a new thought occurred to her.
Okay, now listen. I think I know how to save you.
While she could not pull the stranger up solely by her own efforts, if the other would shorten the rope from their end by curling it around their waist again and again, together they could do it. As she explained her plan, but the other wouldn't listen.
Okay, so you mean you won't help? I cannot pull you up by myself. And I don't think I can hang on much longer.
You must try. If you fail, I would die.
The point of decision had arrived. What should she do? And then a new idea came to her. A revelation so different than her traditional way of thinking.
Okay, listen. I need you to listen to me very carefully because I mean what I'm about to say. I will not accept the position of choice for your life, only for my own. The position of choice for your life, I hereby give back to you.
What do you mean?
I mean, simply, it's up to you. You decide how this ends. I will become the counterweight. You do the pulling and bring yourself up. I will even talk a little from here.
She began unwinding the rope from around her waist and braced herself against the side.
You can't mean what you say. Why would you? You would not be so selfish. I'm your responsibility. What could be so important that you let someone die? Do you not want this? Do you not want this to meet me?
She waited a moment. There was no change in the tension of the rope.
I accept your choice.
And at last, she freed her hands. This was a very dramatic story. Sometimes when we must face a big decision in our life, letting go of that part of us that is scared of change can be really hard. But if you believe in yourself and your dreams, you will always make the right decision. Thank you.
So very quickly, before we sing the children off to their classrooms, and we're all just going to head to the couch room together. And little one, if you would care to join us, you're welcome. And if you don't, we do have some fidgety things in the back. Okay, we have some coloring thing. Okay, come. Is this Venus? I don't have my glasses on. I can see nothing. Anyway, one thing we're going to talk about very quickly in the classroom is guest at our table. Guest at our table is something we have done before. Guest at the table helps support the efforts of the UU Service Committee, UUSC. And this year they have selected 4 guests. And I won't go into every little thing about the guests, but I do want to share, oh, permission denied. Wait a minute. You're my Kindle. What are you talking about? So there are videos on their homepage and I will put them up on our Facebook group so that you can check them out. I will also send them off in, an announcement or something. But I did want to read what the UUSC has to say about their efforts this year and what they're trying to do. So their theme this year for 2022-2023 is hope, courage, and action, which is actually something we're going to talk about in the classroom. So stand by, because we're going to be talking about the 8th principle. The injustices and crisis of the past year have underscored the importance of our shared goal, a world free from oppression, where all can realize their full human rights. They have also emphasized just how big this task is. To meet the enormous challenges of today and build a more just future, we need big ideas and bold change. We must fundamentally transform the way things are so that we do not perpetuate systemic inequities and repeat the harms of the past. At the UUSC, we believe that the transformational solutions we need from communities most directly impacted by injustice. Join us for this year's Guest at Your Table program to learn what UUSC partners are doing to address immediate injustices, as well as what they envision for the future. As this extraordinary juncture in history, we think their stories will offer inspiration and guidance on the path toward justice. So I don't know if anybody of you remember these little boxes that we gave everybody. Gosh, was it 3 years ago? But we will have these boxes for the kids and then have them on our Thanksgiving table, so that we can invite our guests to the table. All righty. That is all I have to say right now. Can you all help me sing the children off to the class? Remember, we're going to the, which room? Couch room. Thank you. All right. Ronnie, you gonna help me too? Here we go. Ready? And you got the light of love.
Go on your way. Join me now in a moment of prayer and meditation. As you get comfortable in your seats and go to that place within when you are settling your soul. Our meditation prayer comes from Reverend Lynn Cox, who's been a minister in various congregations in Pennsylvania and Maryland. Spirit of life, ever adapting and renewing, we come together this morning with yearnings that do not match. We yearn for stability, for even one moment of feeling like we know what is going on, for the ability to predict and prepare for what is coming next. Yet we also yearn for change. We ache for a world that turns aside from racism, violence, dehumanization, and disregard for suffering. We pray for a change in the illness, grief, and vulnerability of our loved ones. We reach for connections that will remind us that we are worthy as we are, and that will help us to become our best selves. Hold us in the heart of both and cradle us in the mystery, cherish us in the eternal presence of love, and encourage us on the path of growth and development. As individuals and as people, help us to become who we are called to be. Lead us to open pathways to deepen wisdom through reconciliation, self-respect, and compassion. Source of wonder, move us to express and live in gratitude for the beauty of this world, the loving people in our lives, and this day of possibility. To this, we add the meditations of our hearts as we enter a time of silence.
Our reading this morning comes from the late Congressman John Lewis. You are light. You are light. Never let anyone, any person, or any force dampen, dim, or diminish your light. Study the path of others to make your way easier and more abundant. Lean towards the whispers of your heart. Discover the universal truth and follow its dictates. Release the need to hate, to harbor division, and the enactment of revenge. Release all bitterness. Hold only love, only peace in your heart, knowing that the battle of good to overcome evil is already won. Choose confrontation wisely, but when it is your time, don't be afraid to stand up, speak up, and speak out against injustice. And if you follow your truth down the road to peace and the affirmation of love, if you shine like a beacon for all to see, then the poetry of all the great dreamers and philosophers is yours to manifest in a nation, a world community, and a beloved community that is finally at peace with itself.
Let me start by turning on my microphone. Let me start by saying that I'm not a big fan of bridges. I'm not talking about the little ones in the woods that cross the stream so that we can stay on our path. The kind of bridge that makes me queasy is the big one in which you are suspended high in the air for a long time, like the Chesapeake Bay Bridge or the old Harry Nice Bridge over the Potomac that just recently got replaced. Or any bridge where you can see where you can't see what it's connecting to. This kind of bridge is a perfect metaphor for transition and change. When your life is in transition, it feels like you are suspended between two worlds. The one you've left behind that's fading from view, and the one that you can't see. Once, I was traveling on the Tampa Bay Bridge in a driving rainstorm when lightning cracked and thunder shook my car. I felt completely vulnerable, and yet all I could do was surrender to my situation and to just keep pressing forward. When our lives are in transition and we find ourselves on a bridge to nowhere, it is that act of surrender, of letting go, that opens us to new and creative possibilities. Only then can we begin to see through new eyes a new reality on the horizon. Change and transition are separate but related. Change is a situational shift, like being laid off from your job, graduating from high school, moving to a new city, losing a loved one to death. It's the big changes like these that throw us for a loop. In these cases, transition is the process of letting go of the way things used to be and taking hold of the way that they become. Transition is the way that we come to grips with change. In his book, The Way of Transition by William Bridges, an appropriate name, by the way, says that we resist transition because we can't let go of that piece of ourselves that we must give up when the situation changes. Now, in our dramatic reading this morning, the person sensed that something had changed in her life. A new opportunity popped up that she thought she was ready to finally go after. But when she got to the bridge, that's when things got dicey. Before she could go any further, she had to make a life-altering choice to hold on or let go of that part of her that was clinging to her old life. At the height of her struggle, she tells herself, if I let go, all my life I will know that I let this other part of me die. If I stay, I risk losing the opportunity of a lifetime. Either way, this will haunt me forever. Letting go is not a simple act of release. It is a long, drawn-out process of exploring whether or not a broken connection can be reestablished. William Bridges says, we don't let go of anything important until we have exhausted all the possible ways that we might keep holding on to it. In our story, the person's journey actually began once she decided to let go. I came across an anonymous quote once that sums this up nicely. The trip becomes a journey after you have lost your luggage. But then comes the grief and the mourning, confusion and chaos. Bridges calls this phase of transition the neutral zone. I call it the bridge of life. An in-between state, right after the ending and right before a new beginning. It is a timeless void when old boundaries break down and you feel like you're drifting. Our desire is to hurry up and get through it, but it takes as long as it takes. In the Hebrew scripture, the Israelites whined and moaned while they were wandering around in the Sinai desert for 40 years. They kept longing for the security of their old lives as enslaved workers for the Egyptians over the uncertainty of their future. But there was no going back. We are in such a liminal space right now. How many times have you heard people say pre-pandemic to signify life as it was before the global lockdowns, the uncertainties and the painful losses to COVID-19? It feels like we are just now coming out of the Sinai, but we can't quite see the promised land. Our economy, our politics, public education, and health systems are still in flux. Even this congregation is in a state of transition. We are no longer who we used to be, and we don't yet know who we will become. We are on the bridge of life. Well, so far, I've described transition as a painful process. Whenever there is a loss, a certain degree of pain is present. But think of the beauty of the bridging ceremony that we hold every spring right here on this chancel. For our graduating seniors, we mark the letting go of youth and an emergence of adulthood. For us, it's a chance to say goodbye and wish them safe passage on their journeys that lie ahead in their lives. As they step onto that personal bridges of their life, they enter a time of personal growth and exploration. At times, it will be scary, but at other times, it will be exhilarating and breathtaking. And there will be many bridges for them to cross. during the bridging ceremony, if we asked everyone in the sanctuary who is going through a transition in their life to walk across the bridge with our graduates, I'll bet that half of the congregation would get up. That's because transition is the dynamic part of our lives. The stable times are the way stations when we stop to catch our breath. But eventually, something stirs again, an unexpected change occurs, and bam, we're right back in the thick of it. It is when we find ourselves suspended in transition that we can most readily encounter the sacred. Many cultures simulate that experience with walkabouts in the desert or vision quests in the forest. The participants seek their spirit guides to help them on their journeys. When we are in that in-between state, we have to access our creative energy that was released when the old reality died. It is when we are in transition that we are the most alive and present. There's no technique or prescription for how to make it across the bridge, but the path always seems to reveal itself after we stop struggling and surrender to the sacredness of our rebirth. There is little to do except to wait watchfully as the closer edge of our new life begins to come into focus. I remember about 14 years ago, sitting in a church just like this, thinking, I haven't expressed a joy or concern in a long time. Am I in a rut? And then almost immediately, I got my answer. I began to have issues at work that made me question whether I belonged there. Then my parents started having serious health issues. And over the course of 2 years, they both died. Then that nagging question about finding one's purpose in life kept getting louder and louder as I got more and more disillusioned with my career. One day, I realized that I was the most fulfilled and the most in sync with reality when I was engaged in some sort of lay ministry at my church. Those were the times that my soul shined. So I decided to take the leap and enter the seminary to be a UU minister. But I had this brilliant plan. I'd continue to work so that I could maintain the lifestyle that I was accustomed to and time it just right so that I'd retire when I was ready to finish seminary. I figured that I could let go of my old life in a nice, controlled manner. But guess what? The universe had other plans. The tighter I held on to my old identity as a systems engineer in the intelligence community, the more out of sync my life became. It was like I was caught between two opposing magnetic poles. The further I went into my ministry formation, the more the old career, the old me, felt like that stranger dangling from the rope. It was January of 2013. I had just returned from 3 weeks of intensive classes at seminary when I was forced to let go of the rope. I got fired for not passing a security polygraph test. I was 8 months shy of full retirement. But there I was on the bridge, and there was no going back. I actually felt a tremendous sense of relief, but it was also scary and disorienting for a while. Look, Ma, no hands. Or more like, look, Ma, no paycheck. all I could do was surrender to my new situation and embrace the formation process. I threw myself into the ministerial internship, listened to my heart, and just kept going. With the support of my teaching congregation and with a growing sense of confidence, I looked into the mirror one day and I saw a minister. I was standing at the pulpit just like this, preaching from my heart. And I realized that I was no longer the same person who started on the journey. I had changed. And that was sacred. None of us have stayed the same our whole life. Your unique story of transition to the changes you have endured is what has shaped you. And you are not done yet. Oh, no, you are always forming. And that is sacred because you are part of the co-creation of life. Your life and the life of everyone you impact. What is that distant horizon that beckons you? The one you can barely see, but you can feel it pulling towards it. The only way to find out is to let go when life presents you with an ending and a new beginning. Abandon yourself, surrender to the bridge when that is where you find yourself. Embrace the journey with curiosity, wonder, and a renewal of spirit. This is what it means to be alive. And that is sacred. May it be so, and may you be the one to make it so. Amen. I invite anyone who would like to share a reflection or something that has bubbled up during the course of this service, talking about change and transition, to share with us if you would like. Briefly, raise your hand and we will bring a microphone to you. Reflections.
So when speaking of change, so much is changing around here. We've changed up the worship script. Soon we'll be changing the way the visual is projected into the sanctuary. And we've added ritual in this moment. So during our offertory, you are invited to come forward, to place a pebble into the bowl of water on the chalice table, to signify a joy or concern that you are holding in your heart this morning. The ministries of this fellowship continue wholly dependent on the generosity of spirit from our friends and our members. If you are online, we encourage you to donate via text message or by visiting our new secure website or newly secure website, where you are able to make donations online. This can be done from our homepage. Greeters will also be coming around for in-person donations. May all that has shared here, freely given, help us sustain and grow our communities of which we are all a part.
Good morning. I'm Steve Elstein. I'm a member of the Pastoral Care Team. We strive to be a caring community, and as such, we invite members and friends and visitors to share personal matters that you'd like us to hold in our heart.
This is a call and response. So I'm appreciative to James for helping out with both of these, since they each had a couple of parts, and I'm not that tough. So feel free to do either the call, the first part, or the second, the response. You'll run out of breath if you try both. And we're going to do verses 1, 4, and 5. Please stand. Thank you. I'm on my way.
I'm on my way
To the freedom land.
to the freedom land.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way
To the freedom land.
to the freedom land.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way
To the freedom land.
to the freedom land.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
God, I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
If they say no,
No,
I'll go anyhow.
I'll go anyhow.
If they say no,
No,
I'll go anyhow.
I'll go anyhow.
If they say no,
They say no,
I'll go anyhow.
I'll go anyhow.
I'm on my way. Great God, I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
And I won't turn back.
And I won't turn back.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
And I won't turn back.
And I won't turn back.
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
And I won't turn back.
And I won't turn back.
I'm on my way.
Great God,
I'm on my way.
I'm on my way.
Please join me in the words for our chalice extinguishing, which can be found on the screen. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of service. May it be a catalyst for spiritual growth and social justice as we carry it outside these walls to the world we live in, until we are together again.
When our lives are in transition and we find ourselves on a bridge to nowhere, it is that act of surrender, of letting go, that opens us to new and creative possibilities. Only then can we begin to see through new eyes a new reality on the horizon. May you go in peace, serve the world, and return in love.